Hey friend, story time. So in high school, I developed such a strong desire to write. I wanted to be a writer. I remember writing a story for my friend and she loved it so much. She said, I'm going to send this to my brother. He's the smartest person I know. He's going to love it. And that made me so happy. A few years later, I started writing online. I found a website where you could submit your work and get feedback, and I loved it. I would post my stories online, and it was so exciting to have people read my work, like strangers tell me that my work was good. And they also gave me ideas on how to make it better. Then someone introduced me to Facebook around 2007. I remember posting my first story there and I got so many comments and I thought, this is amazing. This feels really, really good. Like it was good for my ego, so to speak. That's when I decided to take writing seriously. And of course, I haven't always gotten good feedback. I remember one time somebody told me, you string words together, but they don't make sense. So yeah, there's that. But for some reason, after a while, I set my sights on winning the Commonwealth Short Story Prize. It was a big deal to me. This was a very big prize in the writing community, and I guess everyone who wrote short stories was just excited about being shortlisted and winning that prize. The idea of submitting a story and having it recognized was such a powerful motivator for me. I didn't win any of those things that I submitted to, but every time I read the shortlisted entries, I was blown away. Like these were incredible writers, and I knew I had to work on my skills to even get to that point. But I kept telling myself, I will feel accomplished when I finally win a prize. So I kept writing. I kept entering competitions. And sometime in 2011 or 2012, I submitted a story to a contest. I think it was hosted by Cassava Republic in Nigeria, for those who might be familiar with that. But I can't remember exactly now, but I did my best with that story. I actually remember sending it to some of my friends to get their feedback before I, turned it in, and it got shortlisted. I was so excited. They invited me to Victoria Island in Lagos for a reading, and everyone who had been shortlisted came and they read their stories out loud. I felt so proud and so happy. And at that time, my world was really small, right? I'll just go to work, go home, go to church, and maybe visit one or two friends. That was it. So this moment felt very big for me. I remember my husband, he was my fiancé then, he drove me down there and it was such a beautiful night. I thought I might win this thing, I hoped I would, but I didn't. And even though I didn't win, I kept writing. Eventually, I self-published a book of fiction, and that process felt like an even bigger accomplishment for me. But slowly, something settled in my heart. I realized that this wasn't the path for me anymore, at least not right now. I knew I still wanted to write books in the future, but something new was stirring in me, and writing fiction no longer felt like the thing that God was calling me to do. And that was really hard for me to admit at that time, because I guess I was so wrapped up in that. Like I had wrapped so much of my identity in the idea of being a writer. I even taught workshops, and I told people I'm a writer. People knew me as a writer. People came to me to ask for writing and publishing advice. I knew I had the gift. So if I wasn't doing it, then who was I? It felt like a bit of an identity crisis at that time when I stopped actively writing and pursuing writing opportunities. What happens when you finally get what you want and you realize it's not exactly what I need? You look at a lot of people in your life who seem to have it all together, and you might wonder, do they feel like that? Are they truly content in who they are and where they are? That's a big question, I know, but it's one that's worth asking, because your answer will influence the decisions you make, what you pursue, what you let go of, what you keep pushing for, and what you finally choose to quit. Welcome to the Driven Introvert Podcast. And in this episode, we're going to continue our read of the book, The Next Right Thing by Emily P. Freeman. And the full title of this book is The Next Right Thing, a simple, soulful practice for making life decisions. I am big on decision making. It's how we move forward. It's how we live with intention. In this particular chapter, Emily tells a story that really, really resonated with me, and I wanted to share with you. All right, let's get into it. You're listening to the Driven Introvert Podcast, the place to be for dreamers, doers, and entrepreneurs who are ready to birth the dreams, callings, and ideas the Lord has placed in their hearts. Do you sense that God is calling you to step out and do something new, but you're held back by fear and uncertainty? Do you struggle with believing that you can do great things because of your quiet, reserved, and introverted nature? Welcome here. I'm Remy Roy, your host and founder of shepacked.com. I'm an author, an entrepreneur, a creative, and a committed trier. I'm here to help you get unstuck and make progress on your God idea. Let's go. All right, so in this chapter, Emily tells a story about a yacht. She was standing on the shore of an island, watching this yacht, very beautiful, massive thing, and it was full of people, laughing, eating, having fun. The crew on the yacht was dressed perfectly. It was a sight to see, and everyone around her was looking at this boat. But then she saw the name on the boat, and the name was Never Enough. Isn't that such an irony? This chapter in the book is all about identity and contentment, so to speak, about looking at others and thinking, I wish I had what they have, because we do that sometimes. But then realizing that you may already have what you need. There's a story that she tells about having spent so many years working hard to become a certified sign language interpreter. She studied, took the exams. She failed the first time. She passed the second time. And when she passed, she didn't feel any different. Like maybe she expected that passing would do something for her, but it didn't. And later on, she finally stepped away from that career, right? She couldn't maintain the certification. Life got busier. She had kids, writing and all sorts of things. So she began to ask, what does it mean when the thing you worked so hard for no longer fits? It's the same feeling of having gone to, say, medical school for years and years and years. And all of a sudden you realize one day, I don't want to be a doctor. What does that feel like? What happens when your passion has changed and you realize I'm not that version of myself anymore? The truth is there may be some mourning involved, like you're sad, you're grieving who you used to be, who you thought you were going to develop into. But there's also beauty in making peace with what was so that you can say a yes to something else. And that's what it usually takes. For you to move into a new season, you have to step out of another one. So here's the truth. Just because something changes doesn't mean it was wrong. It doesn't mean you make the wrong choice. It doesn't mean it wasn't worth the time or the effort you put into it. And just because you're good at something doesn't really mean you have to do it forever. Let it sink in. Let that sink in your mind. And that has happened to me before. I spend so much time and energy creating something. Usually it's a business or a project, that I'm so excited about. And then after a while, I move on from that. And it used to really bother me, was that all for nothing? But with time, I realized, no, it wasn't for nothing. At that moment, in that season, I needed to do that. I needed to be that person. So let that sink in. Over the years, like I said, I've had to quit a lot of things. I quit writing fiction. I quit Instagram at some point because I'm like, I'm done, right? I'm done with social media. I quit podcasting the first time I started. I quit trying to help others launch their podcast, not because all of these things weren't good. I was excited about them at the time, but because I needed to make space for what God was doing next. So I'm going to ask you, what might you need to quit right now? Sometimes the next right thing is actually quitting the good thing so that you can step into the God thing, right? Letting go of the good to make space for the great. All right. Emily shares this practice at the end of this chapter, and I want to read it to you. She says, take a quiet moment and ask yourself, is now the time for me to quit something? And this might be a difficult thing to consider sometimes because quitting, like I said, feels like failure sometimes. It feels like you lost something. It feels like you failed massively at something. But this is where the perspective shift comes in. If you do need to quit something right now, maybe your mind is telling you this is not what you're going to be doing for the next 10 years. But somehow you're holding on to it because this is all that I know. Where do I even start? How do I even begin again? Take comfort in the fact that all of this is not new to God. Go to Him and He will give you everything you need. It might take a while and it might take you to be disciplined and really dig deep, but you'll find it. Here are 3 questions that I want you to reflect on based on this chapter. Number 1 is, are you working towards something that no longer feels right? It no longer feels like a round peg in a round hole. Number 2, has your heart moved on, but your mind hasn't gotten the memo? Like inside of you, you're like, I'm no longer here. You're not present. You want to be somewhere else, but somehow you're still holding on and hanging on to that thing that used to be. Number 3, have you started believing that working harder will finally make you feel like enough? And that's a big one. Sometimes we feel deeply that there is a mismatch where we are in a relationship, in a job, in a project, something. We feel deeply that it's not working. But we feel like maybe if I try harder, then I'll start to feel it. But most of the time that doesn't happen. You don't emotionally connect with something by trying to work harder at it. It most of the time it doesn't work. These are big questions, I understand, but they're very necessary. So here's a practical thought for you. If you are an introspective introvert, that kind of person that just wants to get it right, you want to do right by your life, by God, by the people around you, but you're just feeling overwhelmed right now, do a quiet audit of your life and of your dreams. That thing you're pursuing, does it still fit? And this is okay. If it fits, please go right ahead. Throw yourself into it. If you're excited about it in this moment, that's where you should be. Dig in and go all the way. But if not, maybe it's time to make a different decision. Remember, we're talking about life decisions. They're not always easy. They're sometimes messy, difficult, but they're necessary. It might be a hard decision that you have to make, and it's weighing on you. How do I make this decision? What do I tell the people around me? I've spent so many years doing this or being that. Where do I even start? Well, I wish I had an answer for you, but the only way to start is to start. And the only way to find the strength is to seek the Lord for it. He will give you the wisdom and the insight that you need. Do not discount just things just coming your way. Right. Almost like serendipity. Him putting people in your path or putting a resource in front of you or introducing you to someone that you never would have thought about. And those connections, those relationships, those conversations just give you insight that unlocks something. And you just feel like, oh, I think this is what I've been trying to reach. Now I get it. So lean into that process. But if you don't pay attention to it, you'll never find it. Even if those moments come your way, you won't recognize it. So take time to dig deep and do an audit of your life and try to make the hard decisions because they're the best ones. All right. I would love to hear from you. If there is anything you are considering quitting and it's hard for you and you're wondering, is this the right decision? I would love to chat with you if you have the time. I would love to pray with you and just encourage you because I know you can do it. Any decision that you need to make that would be the best for your life and your future, you can make it. You have everything you need. I would love to hear from you. Send me an email at thedrivenintrovert@shepak.com. I really do read every message. Thank you so much for listening to this one, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoy this conversation, please take a moment to follow or subscribe to the podcast. I'd also love your feedback on this episode. You can scroll down on your app and click write a review. I'd love to read your takeaways from this conversation. As always, don't forget to take courage, trust God, and go pursue your big ideas. See you next time. The Driven Introvert is produced by shepak.com and Remy Roy. Want to ask a question or share a comment on a future episode? Click on the link in the show notes to record your question in a voicemail.